Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight for our Portrait of a Soldier Artist panel. This is a companion piece to the Portrait of a Soldier exhibit that is currently at the library up on our first floor, and it will be at our library through October 7th. So if you haven't had a chance to see the gorgeous portraits and the very powerful exhibit that's there at our library, please take the time to go in before October 7th. My name is Emily. I'm a Programs and Exhibits Specialist at the Arlington Heights Memorial Library. I'm joined by my colleague Jennifer and the artists of Portrait of a Soldier. We'll have each of our presenters discuss their involvement with the Portrait of a Soldier project, and then we'll finish at the end with a question and answer session. If you have a question while a presenter is presenting, feel free to throw that in the chat. Jennifer and I will be compiling all those and put those into conversation with our presenters at the end. So without further ado, we're going to start with our first panelist, Cameron Schilling. Cameron Schilling grew up in a small central Illinois town. He went to college at Eastern Illinois University and graduate school at University of Illinois Springfield, where he studied political science and public administration. He was drawing as early as he can remember, and although he did not have formal training, he took several classes in college focused on honing his artistic skills. He now resides in Rockville, Maryland with his wife and stepdaughter, and he works in DC at a national trade association. Take it away, Cameron.
Great. Emily and Jennifer, thank you for the invitation to come and share my story, a little bit about my process and the project. And also thank you for hosting the Portrait of a Soldier exhibit. It's been around Illinois, several different locations, and I really appreciate you guys hosting it there at the Arlington Library. We just passed the 20-year anniversary of 9/11, and I think a lot of us have kind of maybe thought about where we were during that day. And I was a high school senior in a small town in Southern Illinois, and was greatly impacted because a lot of the kids that ended up going to war in Afghanistan and Iraq after 9/11 were about my age. And I kind of felt like a little guilt. I'm the first generation in my family not to serve in the military. My dad was a military police officer in Germany during Vietnam War, and my grandfather was stationed in the theater of war during World War II. So I'd always kind of felt a little bit of guilt and a little bit of helplessness when I saw a lot of these young guys and women around my age, coming back home, in caskets. And so around 2004, I was working for my father, who owned a funeral home in Mattoon. And, I was going to college, but during the summer, I would just work a job with him. I was mowing the lawn, but I would also kind of help with the funerals and do odd jobs. But it wasn't until a man by the name of Charles Nealy died when his tractor trailer overturned in Iraq in 2004. And he was from my hometown. He was a couple years younger than me in high school. I wasn't friends with him, but I remember the name and the face. But it wasn't until I got to work with my dad on Charles's funeral that I really understood, one, what the family was going through and how devastating this can be. But two, what the community goes through. And in our small town, we had blocks and blocks of people lined up, people that didn't know Charles, didn't even know the family. Police and firefighters would put up flags. There was a cop car on every corner as the procession went. So that funeral impacted me greatly, to see what Charles meant to the community and how the community responded to his death was amazing. And again, I felt helpless. I wanted to do something for his family. And the only thing I could think of doing was drawing a picture of him and giving it to his parents, which I did. And their response kind of was amazing to me. They just, they were so grateful. And I thought what I had done was so small, But they sent me a nice note afterwards, and it got me thinking. And I said, man, this is just one of these funerals. And I wasn't even sure. I was like, I wonder how many have died. I think at that time nationwide, it was around 2,000 deaths. And I thought, man, I wonder how many have died from Illinois. And I think around that time, it was somewhere around 80, I think. And I remember I was driving home with my dad, and we were talking about the funeral, and I said, you know what, I think I could do 80 portraits. It seemed like a lot at that time, but it didn't seem like an insurmountable. So I just started doing it. I just started going online, trying to find pictures of all the KIAs from Illinois. And I quickly ran into some problems because I did about 3 or 4 of them, and I was just mailing them from my college dorm room. But the problems I was running into was I couldn't find the right pictures, and I didn't know how to contact the families. And so I kept posting on all these blogs that were dedicated to memorializing the fallen soldiers. And I said, hey, here's what I'm doing. I want to draw a portrait of every soldier from Illinois that's died in Iraq and Afghanistan since 9/11. I can't find the photos, and I need help contacting the families. I think a lot of the responses I got were, positive, but they weren't really helpful until I got contacted. A gentleman in Lieutenant Governor Quinn had an organization called Operation Homefront, and he had a gentleman named Eric Schuler who worked for him, and they provided lots of services to veterans and to Gold Star families. And he's like, hey, we've got all the photos, we've got all the addresses, and we've got the contact information for the families. We can help you out. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. Now I know where to send these portraits to. I can mail them, and it'd be great. And to Governor Quinn's credit, he was the one that really envisioned this becoming an exhibit. I was just going to send these portraits to these families directly. I had not even thought about doing an exhibit. And he said, how many can you do before Memorial Day? And this was like in January of 2005, I think. And I think I was like 60 portraits behind. I had done 20. I think I had to do 80 or something like that. And I was like, I don't know if I can do 60 portraits by Memorial Day, but maybe I can. And so I kind of was taking classes, and I skipped spring break, and I just spent the whole spring break drawing. And they were giving me pictures, and I think I was pretty close to finishing all of them by Memorial Day. And we had our first exhibit at the James R. Thompson Center in downtown Chicago. And that was the first time I got to meet the Gold Star families, and actually for the first time see all of the portraits together, which was more impactful than I thought it would be, because they kind of had this togetherness feel that, they'd all kind of sacrificed the same thing. And so it was kind of very poignant to see them all together. And then obviously to meet the Gold Star families, that's been one of the, I hope Donald and Kiana, I hope you guys have had that opportunity, because it's amazing. And there's nothing that I have learned to say to them, because there's nothing you can say in the English language or any other language to alleviate some of their grief. But some of their thank yous were amazing. And just hearing the stories about them was awesome. Hearing, why they enlisted, why they go to Iraq, why they fought for our country was amazing. So the exhibit began to travel to tons of places. Mostly the Lieutenant Governor's office chose the venues, and they would go to libraries, college campuses, festivals. And I remember I went to one of them. I didn't go to many of the the exhibits, because I know that when I showed up, sometimes the media would like talk to me and like get quotes from me, and that's fine. It seemed I didn't want to take away from these families, and so but there was one I went to, and I think it was in Bloomington, and it was outside a gym on the campus, and I thought, you know what, is this the right place for this? It's like these college kids are walking by. In their gym clothes, and I just like, is this a proper setting for this exhibit? And again, to Governor Quinn's credit, I mean, he wanted to put this in places where people would see it, and that was, I saw people stop, they'd get out of the gym or they were going across campus to a class, and they would stop and look, and they would just wander around for 5 or 10 minutes. And so I think that's the coolest part of this, is that the people of Illinois get a glimpse into the sacrifice made by so few of the families in my the state I grew up in. Another thing that was amazing was beginning to see the notes. I think we were talking about this before, but people started leaving notes on the portraits, and they just were beautiful messages. And you could tell that people wanted a place to grieve. And so I think this was a small part of allowing friends, family, Gold Star mothers to meet with each other, to talk with one another, and to share their stories. I'll just close by saying, we really all need to understand the true cost of war, and remember those who gave the Governor Quinn always says this every time he goes to an event. He says their last full measure of devotion. And I'm glad that the Portrait of a Soldier exhibit can do that. And more than anything, I am so happy that Donald and Kiana have taken up this mantle, and they're sharing their talents in a similar way that I did. And I'm just looking forward to hearing their stories. And thanks for letting me share mine.
Thank you so much, Cameron. I also agree, seeing people who came to the library just to pick up a book, stop and look at all of your portraits is really, really moving to me every single day when I see it at work. Thank you so much for helping with this project and for starting it with Governor Quinn. After Cameron finished with his portraits, he just kind of talked about this, Kiana and Donald took over, and now it has over 300 portraits of Illinois service members who were killed in action overseas. And this is actually the first time that Kiana, Donald, and Cameron are in conversation together, which is really exciting and something we're really happy about. So next we have Donald and Kiana Jeremiah. Donald Jeremiah, raised in Hawaii, had many hobbies growing up, including surfing, dirt biking, dancing, playing music, and of course, drawing. His art talent ranges from pencil sketches to painting murals, and he's had a passion for it ever since he was 5 years old. In 1992, he moved to Streamwood, Illinois to work for American Airlines at O'Hare Airport. 5 years later, Donald and his wife, Dory, raised their daughter, Kiana, and their son, Kavika, 4 years after that. He continues his employment with American Airlines today and continues to teach his kids everything he knows with not only art, but life in general. And Kiana Jeremiah was raised in Streamwood, Illinois, and quite frankly, was not always into art. She focused her childhood on sports like basketball and karate and had no interest in picking up a pencil to draw. In fact, whenever she had a homework assignment that involved drawing, it didn't always pass her dad's inspection. She did not take drawing seriously until the age of 11, where she really focused on improving with the help of her dad. In 2019, she graduated from the Milwaukee School of Engineering with her Bachelor's of Science degree in Industrial Engineering, and now lives in Dowsman, Wisconsin, where she works as an industrial engineer and environmental health and safety specialist. Take away, Kiana and Donald. Thanks for coming.
Hi, guys. First off, thank you, Emily and Jennifer, for putting this together and getting us all together to talk about this special project. Cameron, what you started is such an amazing thing that you've done, and we're so honored to be able to carry on that legacy that you started. It's very special and very touching, and we just want to say thank you for starting that as well. I just threw together quick PowerPoint just to get some background on us. Let me share my screen. Just a quick background. My dad, raised in Hawaii, he transferred to Chicago O'Hare, where he works with American Airlines. His wife, Dory, and me and my brother, Kavika. His hobbies, like she mentioned, fishing, surfing, dancing, a wide range of things, but always had a passion for art. And he's done work, colored work, black and white sketches, murals on walls, just a wide range of talent there. And then myself, I graduated from Milwaukee School of Engineering in industrial engineering. My hobbies, very similar to my dad's. I also enjoy fishing and dancing, and like she mentioned, didn't always have a huge passion for art. It wasn't until I want to say like 11 or 13, I tried a little bit more. I have some examples here. I had like an old journal from way back when, and I just did like sketches, and I did a sunset. And back then my parents said this was really good, but and then I tried drawing Justin Bieber, and I think it's dated there. This was in 2010. Just not really didn't really have a drive for it, but once my dad started teaching me a little bit more, and once I got mature enough to actually listen to his advice and not be stubborn about it, I started drawing a little bit more, and started doing color and black and white sketches, portraits for friends, and just started having more fun with it, realizing it was something that I could bond with my dad on as well, which is another thing that makes being a part of this project so special. The fact that me and him can do it together. And moving on to that, how we got involved with this project, with him working for American Airlines. Once Cameron had moved on from the project, they were in search for a new artist, and one of my dad's friends recommended him for this project to Victor, who was part of the veterans group at American Airlines. And so he got his name out there. He sent over some sketches to see what he could do. And eventually he started taking on that. And another special relation that we have to this project is my grandpa was a fallen soldier of Vietnam. And this is actually the portrait that my dad sketched of my grandpa. So just kind of all come in full circle in that aspect. And once my dad got contacted to start doing these portraits, at that time I was in college. I think it was my junior year of college. He reached out to me and asked if I could start helping. And to me, these were just portraits. So he would just send me pictures of what he couldn't get done, and I would do those drawings, and he would complete his end. And that's just kind of how we collaborated on that. And at that time, with me being away at college, I didn't realize like how much of an impact this would have on families, on the people. And so it was just really special and heartwarming for me to actually be at one of these events. And one of the most difficult parts about doing these portraits, I would say, is probably making sure that we really capture just the personality of the soldier. We want the families to look at these portraits and be like, that's my son or that's my daughter. Like, those are the eyes, those are the personality, like really what they're feeling in that moment. There's a lot of pressure to make sure that we complete that. But then on the other end of it, the most rewarding thing is seeing their reaction and knowing that we did that justice with the drawing. So like I mentioned before, me and my dad's collaboration, he'll do a portrait, I'll do a portrait, whatever each of us have time for. I live in Wisconsin, he's in Illinois, so just kind of communicating back and forth to see which portraits we have time for. And yeah, just really coming together. Like I said, being a part of it with my dad makes it that much more special to us. And then just being able to give the families this and continue Cameron's project, it's a true honor to be a part of that.
Yeah, and I would like to add, thank you again, Cameron, for everything. And like you're saying, you don't realize, like how much impact it is you make, you know. And I didn't realize it too until I went to the Gold Star Moms, families luncheon. And when I sat down to eat, the governor and everybody was there, and someone tapped me in the back of the shoulder, and I turned around. There was a line, waiting to talk to me of Gold Star families, and that really hit me because I put my portfolio on the stage, and they were looking at it, and right after that, they all formed a line, and wanted to talk to me. So that really touched me with, especially, I never forget when one of the little girls came up to me and asked if I could draw her brother, and so we kept in touch. We still keep in touch, and I think it's really important, to get to know the families, and like you said, get to hear their story, and keeping in touch with them if they want, sometimes they need somebody to talk to, and to have their portrait drawn for them, and it kind of give them, peace of mind, what I'm trying to say. But yeah, but thank you for everything, Cameron. I learned a lot from you, and I love your work. Beautiful work.
Likewise. And I think I can speak for all of us when I say that neither of us thought that just picking up a pencil would have something that's just a hobby to all of us, where sketching and whatever would have such an impact on such important families.
I definitely agree. Thank you, Kiana and Donald. When we first met, me and Jennifer first met Kiana and Donald on September 11th during our exhibit opening for the Portrait of a Soldier exhibit, and seeing you meet with the Gold Star families was just really touching to all of us. And I definitely agree that it's awesome that, just like Kiana said, that's something that you find just to be, a hobby is really touching everybody. And it was amazing for us to see you reach the community like that. Thank you, you two. And our final presentation is with Jim Mix. Jim is an English teacher at John Hersey High School, and he partnered with the library to help bring Portrait of a Soldier to the community and also to the Hersey students. Right now, Hersey and a couple of other organizations are working together to bring a really amazing mural to the veterans community in Arlington Heights and the surrounding area. So Jim, take it away. We're excited to hear about it.
Yeah, and thanks, guys. That all three of you, your work is so beautiful. I cannot describe. The Portrait of a Soldier was up at Hersey High School for a week, and every single English class took their students down to see it. So every student at the school saw the exhibit. We ended the week with a ceremony, and Governor Quinn came and spoke to the students about the exhibit and what it meant, and the emotional aspects of it were just awesome. So kudos to all three of you for just amazing work, and what a time for this exhibit, because in the masks, so much, it's like some of humanity has been lost, I guess you could say. A lot of face-to-face interaction, seeing the kids in their masks having these reactions, which some were very strong and powerful. Some of the students have written letters. They wrote down the names, and they started writing letters to Gold Star families. I got a note from Cocky Newgard about Will, and she said, "I cannot believe these letters that are coming to my house." And they're doing it for all kinds of reasons. They're making connections. I think a lot of our students didn't know what a Gold Star family was, and now they know in depth what it was from an emotional standpoint. It's also awesome as an educator. I mean, I have to almost think like a phone to teach. I have to do quick, like, okay, transitions. I mean, their brains, to see them slow down and take it in and get a story with some complexity and some edges, which is really cool. One of my colleagues started asking this question, what's the difference between a portrait and a picture that you post? And that took life at school, because it actually made the kids think about a moment, believe it or not. So it was a really amazing educational experience, which isn't done. On that Friday of that forum, or that assembly, when Governor Quinn came, we invited all the first responders from our area to come. police, fire, you know, some veterans, different things, and some Gold Star families were there. And it was really moving because we also tied in a 9/11 tribute. I'm part of a group. My father was a veteran in Vietnam. He was an MP, Cameron, all that stuff. So it's, you know, I have a soft spot in the heart for that. And long story short, I have some friends in New York who are first responders, and the kids made a movie about their story, remembering 9/11. We had shared that. So we shared it with the first responders. Well, when the first responders were in there remembering 9/11, looking at all these faces, I mean, you could feel the room in a powerful way. You know, there was a lot of humanity there. So I can't thank the three of you enough for, I was trying to imagine all the work and the detail, how the time that you three put into this. It's just awesome. And as a piece of service, you know, when we're talking to students, it's like, hey guys, guess what? They did this out of, you know, the kindness of their hearts. They used all their creative talents to help people heal. They don't even know. And the students, like, you could see them thinking. So thank you. It's just been wonderful. On top of that, something else happened. Mary Beth Beiersdorf from Salute Inc. says, you know, they're a super couple with Will Beiersdorf, who runs the Road Home program in, it's the best post-traumatic stress rehabilitative center you maybe in the whole world. It's just unbelievable in Chicago. They are married. And she says, you know, Will has this at Road Home, this amazing mural that's open. And it's open to when the veterans walk into treatment, you know, at the Road Home program. It's a 3-week stay. The first thing they see is this big mural. So it was your work that inspired Mary Beth to say, you know, I bet we could get the kids to start like an intergenerational kind of dialogue with, you know, a 9/11 20th remembrance thing, but also think about some of the things that have come out of it. Can I screen share? Is that, I think I can. I think I can. Yeah, I think so. If you don't mind, I'll share you some of the things they're doing.
You should be able to.
Yeah, I'm sorry I was late, guys. I was I'm a teacher, but I work with the books, not the computer. So let's see.
Oh, let's see.
General. Hold on a second. If I have rights or something like that, or otherwise.
You are a co-host, so you should be able to.
Cool.
Does it say you can?
So it's blocking my desktop, giving me a whiteboard. Advanced. Hold on a second. I'll figure it out. Portions of the screen, slides as virtual background. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'll keep talking though while I'm working on this. Anyway, here's the story, and I'll eventually get to some of the pictures. Our art teacher agreed, said, yeah, let's do this mural. Let's take it on. So we went to Road Home. We met with their art therapist. Her name is Stephanie Clark. She's fantastic. We saw some of the things that veterans were producing there who were going through the Road Home program, healing from post-traumatic stress. These are all, you know, post 9/11 warrior veterans. And they had made masks, and they had put their outside and then their inside, like their suffering was on the inside, and they had allowed us to share some of their stories. It was really a powerful experience. Well, we started sharing some of the stuff with the kids, and our art teacher, Sue, she said, do you remember 9/11? You remember that blue sky in contrast to all that nightmare? She said, that's the motif, that's the central theme of the key 9/11 piece that Spencer Finch made. And that piece inspired Sue to say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to get the kids, we're going to paint different shades of blue, and then in the middle they'll put their message of hope or gratitude to these veterans who walk by. So they're making a massive mural with all the different shades of blue. And then in the center, the kids are working on, and she's a super teacher. She's having them reflect on, like, hey, how about these past couple of years? You ever felt isolated? You ever felt disconnected? What would you want? So, you know, she's doing all kinds of cool stuff. So, but none of it would have happened without the work that you three did. We wouldn't be talking. I mean, it's just amazing. So we're making, Hershey's High School is going to make the mural, and we're going to gift it to Road Home on Veterans Day. And then Elk Grove, our sister high school, Elk Grove is going to host the Portrait of the Soldier. That's another 2,000 kids that are going to see it. I think Kankakee Community College wants to grab Portrait of a Soldier. That's a whole community there. There's a grade school in the city that wants to take it. There's an artist who's done a bunch of work with veterans, and he said, I really want to do this because I want to tell this story. St. Viator High School wants to take it, make the mural, share it. So this is a pretty good hot potato. So again, I can't even, I don't think we could weigh all the thinking and reflection and understanding. So I really can't thank you again enough for slowing down our entire community to think about the human beings in a complex fashion. Kids are really stuck in social media silos. It's unbelievable. I can't describe it. So thank you for your portraits and humanizing the whole thing. I'll try one more time to screen share, and otherwise you don't really need to see the pictures. I just really wanted to show you, I have a picture of our art teacher. They're working on, what you would see is that like a deep blue or a light blue, and then Sue with the kids, and they're reflecting now on what is it. And it's awesome to see because they care a lot because it's going up. They're reflecting on what's my symbol of hope. What am I going to put in there? And it's pretty cool. Sue's having a lot. Some of them are like, I'm not good enough, and there's all they're hiding in corners, and it's cool to see her as an artist kind of talk up the artists. I guess some of these kids are AP kids who have, I guess they thought they were good, and now she's like, well, this is going up in Chicago at Rush Hospital, and all of a sudden they're like, what do you mean? So it's real. Like, yeah, it's real. You're no longer the coolest kid at this school, right? So thanks again, and we'll love to get you guys involved somehow, some way. We, with some sort of dialogue, because hopefully this keeps going.
Thank you so much, Jim. We're so excited to see the mural when it's finished. I know that it just started, but we're so excited, and we're so thankful that you and the other teachers at John Christie High School took the time and the energy to bring the exhibit to your students and to teach them about service that's connected to not only the people who lost their lives that are in that exhibit, but then everybody else. I think it really ties together exactly what Kiana and Donald and Cameron started this exhibit for. And we're really thankful that you're starting to bring that to the students in Arlington Heights.
More than welcome. It's been wonderful. I mean, the library exhibit was just beautiful. The rose ceremony was just beautiful. The connections have just been fantastic. I mean, it's just been awesome. So thanks to all of you for all of your work, and it's nice to work together and share all this thoughtful stuff. It's really awesome.
And Jim, we hope we can get in line for the mural too at the library. We want everything to come full circle, and we'll find a place to display it.
100%. It's going to Road Home on Veterans Day, and then December 11th we're taking it down. So we'll bring it Elk Grove. We're going to be shifting, so we'll bring it after that for a holiday thing. That's
excellent. And I know Kiana and Donald had a chance to be at the library and see the exhibit, which was fantastic to, have some of those experiences with the Gold Star families that each of you have talked about valuing, and Cameron, to know that that's your experience too, and that being part of the exhibits, that you took a step back so that the families could be the people celebrated in that experience above and beyond you. That was really meaningful to know. So thank you all for sharing so wonderfully. I did want to share that we do have a couple here tonight who has shared with us that Cameron did draw their son's portrait. So it just goes to show that every single one of these portraits is such an immense story, family, celebration of life. It's a tremendous body of work, and people are taking their time with it. Jim, you're saying there's getting everybody off social media. It's true. It is a wonderful analog experience in the library space. And I think the charcoal drawing really just draws people in. I think it's so mesmerizing to people to see portraits that are so detailed and so skillful, and to see people of every age, latching onto details from the different uniforms to noticing where people lived, noticing their date of death. People are experiencing it in so many different ways. And hopefully we're fulfilling Governor Quinn's mission that you mentioned, Cameron, to get it in busy spaces, because we are a busy space. And that's why we're happy to have it, to get it in front of so many more thousands of people over this almost 1 month display of it. Is there anything anybody else wanted to share? Any questions you have for one another? And I also want to open to questions from our attendees tonight. So if anybody who is attending has a question, you are more than welcome to drop it in chat. Again, this is kind of a very meaningful and historic night that we're happy is able to happen with this particular exhibition.
I just want to say, Kiana and Donald, you guys are wonderful artists. It was so cool to see bits of your work in that presentation, and I hope to one day see some of your work in person and to meet you as well. And James, that story was so cool. I think it's so important to kind of teach the younger generation to slow down every once in a while and gain some perspective. And I'm so thrilled that you're doing the mural project, and I also can't wait to see that as well. So thank you all.
One thing just to comment, when we do around Veterans Day, our art teacher and a couple of kids, and something I didn't throw in, we also had some kids working on research. We had a whole bunch of classes researching post-traumatic stress, and then they tied it in with, they looked at the biology of post-traumatic stress, and then they're educating our art students about how, like, certain colors that might help someone, work through that. And they ended up on a lot of blues and, painting natural scenes and things I didn't understand. But it was cool to see the students. I didn't think about this. And again, none of this would have happened if you three didn't paint these portraits. Because on the human element, humanizing it, it's like, yes, these people have bodies and they're suffering. And it's really complicated, but they also have families. So how do we help them heal? But they also have a community and they also have a country. It's kind of like, wait a second, are you supposed to do something? Maybe, the Governor Quinn talks about the idea of service, and the highest office is citizen. In other words, you have agency. Something I think some kids forget they have is agency, because we've overscheduled them into the dirt. It's like, actually, you can take initiative. So it was cool to see students start writing letters to Gold Star families they don't even know. I was like, that made me feel good there. But the research piece on the post-traumatic stress, something that I didn't think would happen, but it's, kids are talking about it, and the community is gaining more education on what is post-traumatic stress, and also whether it's veterans or first responders, but not in just like an assignment kind of way. Like, because of the faces, it's kind of like, maybe I think they care a little bit more. I know they care a lot more. The students that are in my class doing the research and the art kids are really thinking about it, which, again, thanks. Kudos for all that talent and work and selflessness.
Yeah, I wanted to pick up on something Jim said. It kind of reminded me when I started drawing these. It was in 2004 and 5, and those were some of the darkest days of the Iraq War. And I remember, I was also in like political science classes, and we were debating about whether the war was a good idea or not. But the media kind of just focused on these numbers, and it just that's all you would hear is like the next numbers and how high we're getting, and it wasn't until Charles Nealy's funeral that I got to see firsthand that behind every one of those numbers is a face, behind every one of those faces is a family, and a lot of pain and a lot of grief, and they need a lot of help. And so that was another thing that kind of prompted me. It was just it was a very tough time in 2004 and 5, and I'm just glad that the portrait project could help with some of that.
Absolutely. And one thing that some of our audience members may know, but is certainly worth repeating, is that among the 300 portraits, there are 4 different service members killed in action who are from Arlington Heights. So there is so much local connection and so much local community around the people in the communities that are reflected in those portraits. And that's why we've had so much luck bringing in partners, working together, trying to get it in front of as many eyes and connect as many people with one another through it. I did drop a link into the chat. So if you're attending live, you'll be able to look at the story that is on our website. But we do have a wonderful story in which we've learned a little bit more about some of those Arlington Heights fallen heroes that are reflected in the exhibit. And that's only, again, a small number of stories, a small number of people, families, communities that are reflected in this whole exhibit. But we are so grateful to each of you. I do want to make sure I share for our audience just a full list of the partners that came together to make this possible, because it is kind of astounding how many people came together, how many groups, how many organizations brought this to the community. So first we have Salute Inc., who Jim mentioned. And we are so grateful to Salute, who invited the library to be one of the places of display. And of course, Governor Pat Quinn's office, where everything started, as Cameron shared with us. The First Presbyterian Church of Arlington Heights was our location when we had a remembrance ceremony on the 11th, and they were a phenomenal partner. The Veterans Memorial Committee of Arlington Heights has been a crucial partner in this. American Airlines Veteran Military Employee Business Resource Group. As we learned from Donald tonight, Donald, as a staff person at American, it's where he first saw the exhibit, where it's been exhibited in the airport, and had wonderful audiences there. And they are a huge supporter of this exhibit. In our high schools, John Hersey High School, where we are talking to Jim from, St. Viator High School, even our American Legion Post 208 were big contributors. So we had so many people that came together around this, and that's, again, tip of the iceberg. Then there's the students, each teacher in the school, everybody else, and we can't wait to keep it going. We want to make sure that everything we've pulled together to tell the stories through this exhibit are there for the next locations, the next communities that want to pick it up. We are happy to be part of it. So thank you to our audience. Thank you to our guests. Thank you for creating the beautiful exhibit that we're celebrating tonight. And to everybody who is watching live or in a recorded version, we hope that you will visit the library and see the exhibit before October 7th. And certainly you'll have other opportunities to see it because it will keep moving on. So thank you, everybody. Arlington Heights Memorial Library is proud to have been part of this, and we are grateful.
Thank you, Jennifer. Nice to meet you, Donald, Kiana, James. Thank you so much.
Thank
Okay,
Thank all you
everybody.
guys. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks to all
Cameron.
of
It's
you.
an honor.